Welcome, everyone. Thank you all for being here. My name is Landon Starbuck, and I'm the founder of an organization combating child exploitation and trafficking in America. We're here today to protect children from child mutilation. I am honored to join forces today with the Daily Wire, Matt Walsh, and we are so grateful to the survivors of the horrific child mutilation taking place in our state, to the survivors of radical gender ideology that devastates families, that decimates children's bodies and does not protect them or give them the health care they need and deserve. That is why we're here today, and there is nothing that is going to stop us from delivering that important message. I'd like to take a moment to say that we are a peaceful, loving movement advocating for the safety of children, and we will not be drowned out by hateful, bigoted people who care nothing about what's right. We ask you to open your hearts right now and recognize that we live in the greatest country in the world where we still have the freedom of speech. And with that said, I'd like to lead you in saying our Pledge of Allegiance. I'm going to pick a flag out there. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. It's my honor to introduce our first speaker here, the organizer of today's rally. He was one of the very first to publicly question and call out gender ideology when others remained silent. He brought to light how pediatric hospitals around the country, including Vanderbilt University Medical Center here in Nashville, Vanderbilt, they're profiting off of so-called gender-affirming care. He revealed that one Vanderbilt doctor who boasted about how the surgeries and drugs that they administer on children are, quote, a huge moneymaker. But our first speaker is not just exposing the lies and harm befalling our children. He's taking real action to stop it. He is a best-selling author, creator of the groundbreaking documentary, What is a Woman? And the host of the Matt Walsh Show on the Daily Wire. Tennesseans, please join me in welcoming the Matt Walsh.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. I want to thank all of our speakers for being a part of this event. We're going to hear from a wide range of voices today. So, activists, academics, politicians, detransitioners, and I'm very grateful for all of them. I want to thank especially all of you for coming out here today to show your support for this cause. Now, these people here, they don't want you to hear what we have to say because they're cowards. They can't engage in the argument. All they could try to do is shut us down and silence us, but it's not going to work. We're still here. We're not going anywhere. We're still here. So what is the cause that we are here for? It's very simple. We are here to fulfill one of our most fundamental obligations as Americans, as adults, as human beings, and that is to protect our children. That is why we're here. If we will not stand up for them, then who will? If it's not us, then who stands for them? The people out there shouting, they're not going to stand for the kids. They stand for victimizing and preying upon kids. So it falls to us. Now, here's the fact of the matter. There is in this state and all across the country a conspiracy to target and indoctrinate our children into the cult of gender ideology, a cult which fosters delusion, intentionally creates an identity crisis in young, impressionable kids. It's a cult which convinces them that gender doesn't exist, that they have no identity. It's a path to confusion and despair. Now, for years, this has been happening right here in the state of Tennessee, not far from where we currently stand. As my team and I uncovered, Vanderbilt Hospital got into the gender transition game because it's, quote, a big moneymaker. Those are their own words. And soon they were drugging and mutilating adults as well as children. Now, let me ask you guys this. As Tennesseans, do we believe in castrating children? Do we believe in that? No. Do we believe in drugging and mutilating kids? They believe in it, we don't. Are we going to allow this in our state? Are we going to do what they want us to do, which is sit back in silence and allow our kids to be victimized? Are we? Now, I have 4 kids, and I have 2 more on the way. And like so many of you, I live every day constantly aware of the world that's out there, of these people who want to prey upon my kids. My kids have no idea, what these people will try to do to them. It's not fair. It's not right that our kids live in a culture in a country like that. But here's the thing. I'm not going to leave it to my kids to fight this fight. We don't leave it to our kids. We stand up and we fight. Okay, it isn't our kids' battle, it's ours. And we're not just fighting to protect our kids from mutilation in the name of gender transition. We're fighting that, but at an even deeper level. We are fighting for truth. That's what we stand for. We stand for absolute truth. That's what we stand for, right there. And that brings me to one final point that I need to make. The other side, the side that supports mutilating and drugging kids, they know they have no argument, they have nothing they can say, so they lie. And one of the most ridiculous lies that they tell is that they want to affirm kids. They're not affirming the child, they're affirming confusion. They're affirming despair. That's what they're affirming. Now, we do not affirm confusion, we affirm the child. When a child is confused, we affirm him. We give him the sort of affirmation that he desperately longs for and needs and deserves. That's what we do. Now, that's our message. And it's a message that we hope resonates not just across the city or this state, but all across the country. Because we're building a movement, and we're not going anywhere. We're not going to rest. We're not going to rest until every child is protected from this madness. So the other side, they can shout and they can scream and they can call us whatever names they want. None of that will dissuade us because this is a battle of good versus evil. And we are fighting for good. We're fighting for what is true. We're fighting for people who cannot fight for themselves and shouldn't have to. That's what we're fighting for. We're in this for the long haul, for as long as it takes, right? This is only the beginning, I promise you that. Thank you all. God bless. Thank you.
All right. I want to thank you all for being here, because without you being here, nothing gets done. Change doesn't happen in Washington. It doesn't even happen across the street. It happens right here with we the people. And we have been on the side of being civil and kind. We have not screamed as other people have screamed at us while we're trying to be heard. We are the ones being censored on social media. This is the last standing public square in America where we can speak freely. And we will not be silenced by people with fascist mindsets who want to quiet us. Like I said, my name's Landon Starbuck, and I run a nonprofit here in Tennessee, combating child exploitation. Every single day, we deal with survivors of the same thing that you're advocating for right here. Survivors of the most horrific realities. We deal with families right now with children over at the gender clinic, and they're on the end of the most horrific procedures that they regret, and they fear speaking out because of hateful behavior like this. That's why it is so important that we become that voice, and we get louder, and we become fearless. The days of an apathetic attitude towards standing up for what is right are over. We're standing in this great state of Tennessee for what we believe is right. And I want to let you know of what's to come if we don't continue standing up, if we don't find our brothers and sisters and help them join this movement. They want to take the children away from parents who refuse gender affirmative care, who refuse to cut off the healthy breasts of their children. Just a few weeks ago, my organization went after a doctor here in Nashville, Tennessee, with a photo of the naked breasts of a 15-year-old girl on his website for profit. That is not okay. And that is legal in this state and in America, because it's not being used for sexual purposes. But let me tell you something. I fight sexual exploitation every day, and gender ideology and radical sexual ideology are deeply intertwined. You cannot separate them. They come together. They're here to sexualize our children. They will not stop until we stop them. So I ask you to join me and stand fierce and strong in the next phase of this child rights agenda. Because if they believe that children can consent to dangerous, life-changing medical procedures, what else do they think children can consent to? We will never allow the United States to be taken down by this fascist, extremist, sexualization of children movement. Children are not sexual. Keep your hands off our children. With that said, I'd like to welcome our next guest. Please welcome the President of the Convention of States and one of the nation's most effective grassroots activists and lawyers, Mark Meckler.
It is great to be in Tennessee, is it not? And I gotta say, of all the people I follow in the media, the guy that's out there putting it on the line, making the difference, actually doing the stuff, let's hear it from Matt Walsh. Look, this is really important because Matt's actually willing to do what it takes to make a difference. A lot of people in the media are out there and they're talking, and we've been hearing a lot of talking for a lot of years. How many people think that the time for talk is over? This is the time for action, and there is nothing more important than we can do than take care of our kids. And there is nothing worse that we could do for our kids than to butcher kids who are just teenagers who have no idea what's going on. Am I right? Now, I understand in the American body politic, we can have differences, and we do have differences. And I was out there walking through the crowd earlier, and what I saw is the folks that are out there that want to protect our kids are willing to have dialogue. And those that want to mutilate our kids want to shut you down. Are you going to let them shut you down? I would say, hell no, we're tired of being shut down. This is about human rights, and we need to protect our kids. And if we're not willing to stand up and protect our kids, then we're not for human rights. How many of you are going to stand up from now on and protect the kids? Look, I gotta say, there's a lot of people in the media that I respect. A lot of people out there willing to take a stand. A lot of people willing to engage in fights. But the guy that's at the point of the spear, the guy that's willing to actually do something is Matt Walsh. And I say, God bless Matt Walsh. Look, I love seeing brave people in the fight. And one of my favorite people out there in the fight now is somebody that I had the opportunity to meet recently. She is a brave warrior for what's right. She's willing to stand up and tell the truth no matter the cost. Please welcome former Congresswoman, 2020 presidential candidate, veteran, and host of the new podcast, The Tulsi Gabbard Show, Tulsi Gabbard.
Thank you. Aloha. Thanks to all of you who have gathered here today on such an important issue. As we gather here this year, we're celebrating the 50th anniversary of the enactment of Title IX. Title IX was created out of a recognition of the biological difference between men and women, and we as women have had great opportunity and advancement because of it. Where we are now today, though, is those in power are denying the existence of women. They are seeking to erase us as an entire category of people. And even more dangerously, they are denying the existence of objective truth. Without recognition that there is such a thing as truth, there are no boundaries in our society, which is why we are where we are today. Who is suffering as a consequence of these actions? It is the most vulnerable among us, our children. That is why we are gathered here today, to stand up for our kids, to be their voice, because our kids are having their childhood stolen from them. I think there are a lot of you who are here who may be able to relate. Women here, I grew up a tomboy. I thought the boys were having all the fun. I cut my hair short. I wanted nothing more than to be a boy because it was cool and it was fun. But guess what? Life moved on. I moved on and I grew up. I cannot imagine the kinds of pressures that are happening with our kids today, with our young girls who are tomboys. This is what's at stake here. We have people who are undermining our parents, using the threat of the rule of law to take away their right and responsibility to raise our kids, forcing compliance and trying to silence those of us who are here to speak up and fight for our kids. Our kids need us now. They need to hear our voices speaking up for them. They need to hear your voices of courage, your voice of truth. Exercise your right to free speech. Exercise your voice and cast your vote, because who in power matters. There is so much at stake here in this next election. It is nothing short than our freedom, the safety and security of our kids and our families, and our future. So don't let anyone silence your voice. Don't let anyone push you to the sideline. Stand up and speak out, because our kids, their well-being, and their lives are what's at stake. Thank you so much, everybody. Stand strong. Keep fighting. Aloha.
All right, please welcome our next guest, Senior Counsel at Alliance Defending Freedom and an outspoken advocate for women's rights, especially in sports. Please welcome Christiana Kiefer.
Good afternoon. Over the past several years, we've watched with increasing alarm as vulnerable children have become the objects of a political experiment. Vulnerable, distressed, confused children and adolescents, instead of being given the psychiatric help that they need, are told they were born in the wrong body and are put on a conveyor belt of off-label puberty blockers, synthetic hormones, and even life-altering surgeries. But instead of caring for the child's underlying distress, the science shows this conveyor belt leads to more pain. The full risks are not yet known, but what we do know is enough to pull the plug on this entire political experiment. Off-label puberty blockers and cross-sex hormones result in decreased bone density, increased cardiovascular and cancer risk, impaired brain function, liver dysfunction, and permanent sterility. Teen girls who have their healthy breasts removed are never able to nurse children. Boys who permanently block puberty never reach sexual maturity and can't father children. And that's in addition to the risks and complications associated with these irreversible surgeries. This is not healthcare. These are dangerous, unscientific, and unregulated experiments with permanent effects, and they're being perpetrated by ideologues and activists on our children. Children are not political experiments. If kids lack the maturity and critical thinking skills to sign a contract, to vote, or even get a tattoo, how can they possibly be mature enough to understand and consent to the life-changing implications of these drastic procedures? They cannot. And that's why the adults in their lives must protect them. But parents are being emotionally manipulated into believing that unless they let their child pursue hormones and surgery, that suicide is on the table. Parents are sidelined and excluded from the conversation as so-called experts dictate what they think is best for the child. Why would anyone coax a child down a path of permanent sterility? Well, let's follow the money. The gender business is booming. Hospitals advertise top surgery for girls as young as 15 years old. As a doctor at Vanderbilt said, it's a huge moneymaker. Some market analysts predict that the gender-affirming care will reach $5 billion in the United States alone by the end of this decade. Everyone knows boys cannot be girls and girls cannot be boys. Our sex is written on every cell of our body, and no amount of medical interventions will change that. Our children are being sold a lie. So let's give kids real help, not by permanently altering their bodies, but by treating their psychological and mental health needs. Let's help children love and recognize their bodies and teach them that true human flourishing starts with living at peace with your body. The vast majority of children who are distressed with their biological sex and allowed to progress through their natural puberty come to live at peace with their bodies. Don't turn them into a permanent medical patient. So, to parents, give your children the freedom to be who they are. Give them compassionate support and help them learn to embrace their bodies. To doctors and medical professionals, remember your oath to do no harm. History will not look kindly on those who hurt the most vulnerable among us. And to the lawmakers of Tennessee and beyond, shut it down. Our laws and policies must promote human flourishing, not stifle it. We must pass common sense laws that protect minors from predatory, life-altering, and irreversible experimentation. Let's keep kids first. Thank you. And next, please welcome filmmaker, political activist, writer, and Tennessean, Robbie Starbuck.
Hello, Tennessee. You know what? Before we begin, I have a challenge for y'all. If you're going to vote Republican in November, I want you to call me a fascist and chant throughout my entire speech, okay? The whole thing. You got to call me a fascist, but only if you're going to vote Republican in November and you're going to get a Republican president in 2024. So, I want to ask you a question. Why are we here today? You're only part right if you're saying to end this mutilation of children, to stop these irreversible hormones and sex changes on children who cannot consent. The truth is, we're here because of you. We're here because you cared enough to stand up, to make noise, to let your lawmakers know that you demanded that they took action. Tennessee is able to stand up and to show the nation how you get this done, to ban these irreversible, harmful surgeries on children. And I have news for the people in the middle. We will ban these surgeries. You know, it's interesting to hear them call this fascism when you stand up for children. The same people who want to force your kids in school to have pornography in their school libraries and in the libraries themselves for kids to check out. They're the same people who throw their political opposition in prison, who stifle your free speech online, who censor every thought that they don't agree with, and then have the nerve to show up and call us fascists. I have news for them. This doesn't stop here. This is step one. This is step one. Your entire far-left communist agenda, and yes, I use the word communist because that is what you are. My family came from Cuba where they survived communism once, and we do not fear you. The people of Tennessee do not fear you. We look you in the eye and we tell you your day has come. Your time is over. We will stand up. We will stop you. We will face you down anytime, anywhere, and we will beat you on the issues at the ballot box, and you will not take an inch in this state from here on out. So get the moving trucks ready because this isn't the state for you. You know, you guys, you're the coach. You're the coach of this team. And we see at Tennessee Vols, who's a Vols fan here? We can see there what happens when you get a good coach that recruits the right players and has a great game plan. So make sure you treat politics the same way. You recruit the right people. Support the people who are going to stand up, who are going to fight. And make sure the lawmakers know you've got their back if they take these fights on. Because you are that coach, and you're what we need in Tennessee, not just to show up today, but to show up every day, to not relent, to stand up on a whole host of issues, to make sure that this is a state where our children are free from the clutches of these communist tyrants who want to control every part of their lives, free from their discrimination against the unvaccinated, free from their discrimination against those who want to save children from these surgeries, and free from their censorship. This is not a state for their ideology. It's a state where children will be safe. Thank you, guys. And you know what? Before I go, I have a question for you, because we have a lot of lawmakers here, okay? We know, they know, we want this banned, and it is going to be banned in Tennessee. But I want to take a show of hands. How many of you would also like to ban drag shows for children? Let the lawmakers know. And how many of you want to ban pornography in libraries and at schools? How many of you want to ban medical establishments like Vanderbilt from discriminating against 6-month-old child, which they did earlier this year, and wouldn't let him get a heart transplant over vaccination status? So lawmakers, you're all here behind me. You saw the people. You know what they want. Now let's get it done and protect the children of Tennessee. Next up, we've got evolutionary biologist, journalist, and defender of free speech within the sex and gender debate. Please welcome Dr. Colin Wright.
Hello. Thank you all for being here. My name is Colin Wright. I'm an evolutionary biologist, perhaps best known for arguing the now controversial position that biological sex is real. There's only 2 sexes. The differences between males and females matter, and that women are adult human females. You might be wondering why this is relevant here at a rally about ending child mutilation, but it's actually extremely relevant, because the justifications given for performing these horrific surgeries on children are rooted in absurd, reality-denying pseudoscience about basic biology. It's a pseudoscience that denies the existence of males and females. It's a pseudoscience that says that biological sex is just an arbitrary social construct. It's a pseudoscience that says that a person's identity determines their biology. And it's a pseudoscience that says that you can be born in the wrong body, which is demonstrated by having preferences and behaviors that are typically associated with the opposite sex. Most people don't realize how much our major scientific and medical institutions have been captured by this pseudoscience, literally claiming that girls who are tomboys and boys who are effeminate are literally transgender. But the American Psychological Association, the Endocrine Society, the American Psychiatric Association, and even the CDC, to name only a few, literally define someone being transgender as a person whose expression or behavior does not conform to that which is typically associated with their sex. That's their definition. Go look it up if you don't believe me. It doesn't get much clearer than that. If you have a daughter who is not an effeminate girl, she's actually a boy. If you have a son who is not a masculine boy, according to them, he's actually a girl. Or even something else entirely different altogether. This is absurd in the extreme. We know that if left alone, many of these non-conforming children will grow up to be normal, healthy, gay adults. But now, because of gender ideology, these children are being told that they have a mismatch between their gender identity and their biological sex, and that this mismatch can be fixed with puberty blockers, cross-sex hormones, and experimental surgeries. In addition to these beliefs defying all we know to be scientifically true about basic biology, they are also grotesque and evil. What is occurring at Vanderbilt Health and hospitals and clinics all over the country in the name of this gender pseudoscience is a medical scandal of horrifying proportions, and it has to end right now. Thank you.
right, guys, I know you've had some fun here in the middle, but I have a question for y'all. If you really care about children, the people who are coming up here were children when they were lied to by the system that you defend. So if you have any respect for them, you'll listen. You'll stop this obscene, ridiculous, childish behavior. But even with that said, I just want to let you know that God made you beautiful, whether you are male or female, that we love you, that God loves you, and that we're so sorry that you've been lied to, exploited, and now you're in trauma mode where you can't even entertain any other thought because you're so scared and upset. It's so sad. We hope that one day you'll join us and you'll have compassion for the vulnerable, compassion for the children who have been maimed and abused. And with that said, I want to invite two heroes. Our first hero coming up is the founder of Trey Voices, and he was also one of the heroes of Matt's film, What is a Woman? He knows firsthand the life-threatening dangers and complications of so-called gender-affirming care. Please welcome Scott Nugent.
My name's Scott Nugent. You may have seen me in a little documentary I made a while back called What is a Woman? During that interview, I had no clue who Matt Walsh was. I just thought, wow, this dude has a really, really great beard. I was the trans man who was called the hero in Matt's groundbreaking documentary. The hero, that's pushing it. All I did was tell the truth, and the truth is that I'm a woman and I will never be a man. No one can change their sex. Medical transition is experimental, cosmetic, and it only creates an illusion of the opposite sex for comfort. But medical transition doesn't cure anything, as society is being led to believe. But who I am, my most important role, is that of a parent to 3 incredible children. I'm a mother, and as a woman who has given birth, carried life, as someone who fell for the relentless onslaught of glitter bombs and unicorn farts, I'm here today to put an end to the idea that medical transitioning children is about human rights. It is not. It's about money. We need to stop pushing puberty blockers, hormones, and surgeries on children and youth. Stop telling kids they were born in the wrong body. They are just different, and different is okay. In fact, different is a superpower. You see, the truth is that awkward children, the gifted, the mentally ill, the autistic, the abused, the same-sex attracted are being targeted as a new cash cow called transgender health. The series of dangerous experimental procedures that has no long-term study that says it's safe or beneficial. How are we butchering an entire generation of youth in the name of tolerance and acceptance? This is hypocritical. These kids not accepting their bodies, I can keep going louder if you want me to. These kids that are drastically changing their physical appearance through puberty blockers, hormones, and surgeries is in itself the act of intolerance. Market research predicts that gender-affirming care will generate more than $5 billion by the end of the decade. If the current rate of kids that are being transitioned continues, we're going to have a whole generation of children, lifelong patients, without having one single disease. If I, as an adult, couldn't resist the temptation of a quick fix elixir, do you really think someone with an immature frontal lobe can? These children need people in their lives to help them embrace, accept, and love themselves for who they are. Not a delusion of something they will never become. There are many reasons a child or teenager might think that they're transgender. The transgender is not a condition. It's a verb. It's something you do through a choice you make. No one is born in the wrong body. That's hogwash. There are major medical organizations calling on big tech and the Department of Justice to investigate, prosecute, and silence us. But the truth is on our side. A lot is happening, exciting progress being made all around the nation, with Robin Lundstrom in Arkansas to lawmakers here in Tennessee, and many states working on legislation. Vanderbilt Hospital, I can go louder! Vanderbilt Hospital temporarily halted performing gender-affirming surgeries on minors thanks to the pressure of the people like us. You may not know that I've been in this fight for 3.5 years. I founded an organization and I need your help. It's called Trey Voices. Its mission is to scream louder that medical transition is no place for a child. It's about the oldest greed since the beginning of time, money. If everyone knew the facts, then we would be calling it what it is, child abuse. My only objective with Trey Voices is to transfer my passion and experience as a trans man, as a lesbian, double quoted on the rainbow. Encourage everyone to talk to your children, your parents, your sisters, your brothers, your cousins, your neighbors, your coworkers. I want to inspire people to have those difficult conversations with people who might not agree with them. I want you to do your work. Get outside the Twitter echo chamber. This debate is not political, not about human rights, and we need everyone in Tennessee and abroad to be brave enough to release their own screams and join together with millions in unison for something we all are together, human beings. One colossal scream. The medical transition is not for a child, because within this debate, a bigot today is a hero tomorrow. My question is, are you willing to take the heat today to be a hero tomorrow to save a generation of children? Because our children deserve us to adult better.
Our next speaker was a young teenager when she sought professional help, but instead fast-tracked into a medical gender transition, as so many have. She now fights for the rights of children and families across the nation. And before I welcome this incredible young woman, I want to ask the crowd to listen, because we care about the detransitioners that have been left behind. We care about their voices. Social media wants to censor their voices, and their voices are so important because there's only one group of people embracing them after they've been spit out and exploited by this system, and it is not the people screaming in their faces. So please give a very big welcome for Chloe Cole.
Hi there, everybody. My name is Chloe Cole, and I flew out here all the way from California. So, for those of you who don't know me, I am a former transgender kid. I'm biologically female, but throughout a good portion of my adolescence, I identified as male. I started by socially transitioning at 12, meaning I cut my hair shorter, started buying boys' clothing, and asked my family to refer to me by a new name that I chose. From the looks of it, you could probably tell that it didn't work out. No. A lot of you must be wondering, how does this happen? What led up to this? Well, there's several factors that make our youth quite vulnerable. I actually had a relatively normal early childhood. I had interests that were typical of a girl my age. I loved pink, purple, and blue, skirts, dresses, necklaces, dolls, and I also liked drawings, video games, and playing in the dirt or with my older brother's Legos or Nerf guns or toy trucks. As I got older, I started to associate with and relate more to boys, and I found it more and more difficult to connect with or even understand other girls my age. I started puberty at roughly 9 years old, so from a very young age, I dealt with both my peers and adults making uncomfortable or even hurtful comments on my developing body. I moved neighborhoods before entering middle school, and I turned to the internet because I had so few friends in person. Little did I know that as soon as I made my first Instagram account at 11, I would immediately be bombarded with trans-identifying kids, unachievable body standards, and even softcore porn. I never stood a chance because that was just the beginning. Postmodern feminism taught me that throughout all of human history, women have been suppressed and oppressed, and still are to this day. Today's intersectional feminism has very little to do with women's rights. It has devolved into infringing upon the rights of others, while reducing women to sex objects in a costume that men can wear when they want to taste the rainbow. It is clear why I despise the idea of growing from a girl into a woman. But as a kid, I couldn't reason properly or introspect well enough to understand why I felt this way. I fell victim to the idea that I was actually a boy trapped within a girl's body, and I began to present myself in a way that felt more consistent with my so-called gender identity. I came out to my parents with a letter that I left on the table, asking them to refer to me by the name Leo and call me their son. They wanted to support me, but they were at a loss of what to do for me. And so they turned to the help of healthcare professionals, who went on to coerce them into giving up their role as parents and letting me do as I pleased. We had no idea these so-called doctors and therapists were just butchers and liars. They told my parents that it was a life or death choice, and if they chose not to accept me as their son, they would certainly end up with a dead daughter. I thought that by starting cross-sex hormones, my body would become more consistent with my real gender identity. The only person to question this, other than my initially reluctant parents, was an endocrinologist who refused to medicalize me because he was wary of how it could affect my brain development. He was the only doctor I saw who didn't immediately affirm my identity and choices, and I wouldn't be surprised if he eventually resigned or was fired for safeguarding younger patients. My gender specialist expressed frustration and immediately referred me to another endocrinologist who was quick to give me consent forms for puberty-blocking medication and injectable testosterone. I remember her asking my 13-year-old self, "Are you aware you may experience atrophy of some reproductive organs. Are you aware that this may affect your ability to have children in the future? It didn't matter what she told me. I did not have the mental faculties at 13 years old to be able to make an informed decision that would permanently impact my overall health and stunt my development. Neither did I at 15 when I sought to remove my breasts. After 2 uncomfortable years of binding my breasts in the world with a compression device called a breast binder, I wanted a way out. I wanted to stop wearing this binder while going on runs, swimming, or walking home from school in 100-degree weather. I wanted to look more like boys my age, and most importantly, I wanted to avoid the sexual attention that came with having a visibly feminine chest. I was groped at school, in a classroom, a place where I thought I would be safe. That was the final straw. I was afraid of being sexually assaulted again. I wanted this part of my body gone. And now it is, and it will be that way for the rest of my life because I was allowed to make an adult decision as a traumatized 15-year-old. The next question is, just how often does this happen? Conservatives in the past have written the trans movement off as a circus act that does not warrant meaningful political discussion. Many on the right have been made aware of the trans kids epidemic and indoctrination in our schools only as of this year. Trans rights activists often outright deny that children diagnosed with gender dysphoria are ever medicalized. But when they're presented with evidence that it does in fact happen, they attempt to justify it. They'll go back on their statements and then say that it's actually a good thing. And to deny children of these barbaric treatments is to deny them of life-saving health care. These euphemisms are common, and they downplay the reality of medical transition. Some say that transition regret is incredibly rare, and that the reason that transgender individuals detransition is almost always due to external factors such as social pressures or low income. This could not be any more false. A new detransitioner, often a minor, reaches out to me on nearly a daily basis. This is an epidemic. I see detransitioners express their regret online and get bombed with hatred by trans activists who have millions of followers. They need to silence any dissent in order to maintain the carefully constructed narrative. As soon as I even expressed regret, I was met with hatred by the same people who encouraged and celebrated every milestone in my transition. I was told that I was a nuisance at best and a harmful force to other real transgender people at worst, just for admitting my mistake. They said to me that I was only a spoiled brat who manipulated and hurt my parents and family. They said that I didn't deserve to go on testosterone or undergo a mastectomy. Now, that part is true, because I deserved so much better. Children with gender dysphoria deserve so much better. They deserve adults who love and care for them when the world is preying on them. They deserve to just be kids. As somebody who knows this process well, I feel called to educate parents on the harms that are being cast on their children. Harms that ultimately led to the mutilation of my own body. If I can reach even one child with my story and change the trajectory of their life, I would consider my mission successful. In closing, we must run, not walk to the places and people that need to hear this cry from the most vulnerable. End child mutilation. Thank you. Thank you so much.
One more big round of applause for Scott and Chloe. This is where I'm going to sign off, guys, and we're going to have our next speakers. This is where the rubber meets the road, our legislatures, okay? The people who have the power to change this in our state. I want you guys to get loud because they need to hear us. They need to hear our voice. We're not going to be quiet anymore. We are going to ban child mutilation in the state of Tennessee. We're going to protect children, and we're going to get louder because the voices of those heroes need to be heard. They deserve to be heard, and we are going to protect children from one more story like that from happening. Please welcome former prosecutor and the House of Representatives Majority Leader for the great state of Tennessee, Representative William Lamberth.
Thank y'all for being here today. Before I begin my prepared remarks, I want to say this. For those of you that came out today to support kids like Chloe, I commend you. But for those of you that while that young lady was pouring out her heart to you, that shouted at her and cursed at her and derided every word she was saying, shame on you, because you are not here for kids. I want to thank the Daily Wire and especially Matt Walsh for their work on the critically important issues of bringing us here together today. If not for Matt and his team, a certain university medical center just down the road would still be performing child mutilation surgeries like what happened to Chloe. This madness is not unique to Nashville. We need to make this horrific practice illegal in Tennessee. My colleagues that stand with me today agree, and I think we're going to be able to protect children with your help. We need to make surgical mutilation for the purpose of altering the appearance of a child illegal. Amen. But we can't do it alone. We need everyone standing here with us today to support a legislative solution and make it illegal once and for all. Now, some of these doctors may actually think they're helping these children, but they aren't. Some of them said outright that they perform these surgeries because it's profitable. That child then becomes a patient for life. I'm a dad myself, and I'll tell you what, that makes me angry. No child should ever have a surgery. No parent should ever consent to a surgery until they know the full risk that are associated with that surgery. I've spoken to multiple pediatricians right here in the state of Tennessee who are deeply concerned about what's becoming wildly perceived as normal in their field. The American Academy of Pediatrics discourages medical professionals from questioning a minor's self-reported gender identity. That's wrong. Part of this process is to question it. Part of any honest process is to question it. The only way you get to an answer is to question it first. Almost overnight, an entire woke medical industry has emerged advocating to allow children to define their own disorder and prescribe the remedy. Children are receiving experimental treatments that are harmful and irreversible. No child should ever be put in the position of making a permanent, life-altering decision to harm and disfigure their body in this way. They can't possibly understand the future ramifications of that, least of all, a child under distress because they are experiencing gender confusion. Take our time, make sure that child receives the love, that Chloe talked about just a moment ago, the support, the guidance, so that they can make that decision as an adult if they want to, with their eyes wide open to what the risks truly are. If you're concerned about this as I am, I'm asking you not to stand in the shadows. Do what you're doing today. Join us in supporting this legislation that will be filed soon. Call your state representatives, call your state senators, and tell them how important this is to you. Let your voice be heard. Together, I guarantee you we can help protect our children. Thank you very much for coming out here today, all of you. This is what America's all about. And right now, I'd like to invite to the stage for some words Senator Jack Johnson, the Majority Leader of the State Senate, and his colleagues. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Leader Lamberth. Good afternoon, everyone. Isn't it great to be a Tennessean today? I want to introduce some of my colleagues from the Tennessee State Senate. We're going to get something done about this year. I'm very pleased to be joined by Senator Ed Jackson, Senator Don White, Senator Janice Bowling. We're here representing the Tennessee State Senate. I want to thank Matt Walsh and the team at Daily Wire for the work they've done on this important issue and for bringing us here today. I got a question for you. Isn't it great that Matt Walsh is now a Tennessean? Isn't it great that Matt Walsh won't back down to the woke left? I'm here to tell you today, we won't either. While I'm thanking people, let me thank you for joining us here today to stand up for the children of Tennessee. Leader Lamberth and I have been working on legislation along with others, and that legislation will be filed early next month. One of the very first bills that's going to be filed for the upcoming General Assembly is a bill to end the practice of irreversible body-altering surgeries on minor children here in the state of Tennessee. This is a priority for many of our colleagues in the General Assembly, and I'm confident that with your help, we will pass this legislation overwhelmingly. The time to act is now. We must protect our children here in Tennessee. And I want you to feel good about the fact that we can do it. We've proven that Tennessee is a conservative leader in many, many areas. We're the least indebted state in the nation. We're the lowest tax state in the nation. We have the fastest growing economy in the nation. We stood up to Joe Biden's unconstitutional vaccine mandates. And by the way, I don't care what the liberal bureaucrats in the CDC say. In Tennessee, your children will never be forced to get the COVID shot. I want Tennessee to be a leader on this issue as well. We all do. We're going to ban permanent, life-altering medical procedures. We will get it done. You have our word. Now, I have the honor of introducing someone who really needs no introduction, certainly not here in Tennessee. Listen, she's not a biologist, but unlike Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson, I'm pretty sure she can tell you who a woman is. Ladies and gentlemen, the senator from the great state of Tennessee, Marsha Blackburn.
Thank you all. Let me tell you the great work that William and Jack are doing to lead the Tennessee General Assembly. We are so fortunate to be here in Tennessee.
They are doing a great job making certain that they're protecting Tennessee families, and I know that they are going to do a great job in this coming General Assembly. They've told you it is children first, and families first for them in Tennessee. And Matt Walsh and Daily Wire, what an amazing job, and we are all here today because of this information that Matt brought forward and showed what was taking place just down the street right here in Nashville, and showing how the radical left is trying to put their woke agenda on every single family in this state and in this country. And since the pandemic began, the left has been trying to tell you how to take care of your children. They've been trying to take the health care decisions away from parents and let the government make those decisions, but we will not let them do that here in Tennessee. You know, it was appalling and shocking to hear a medical professional say that they were going to put profits in front of children and in front of children's health. And I am so grateful that every one of you are here today to make your voice heard on this issue. So thank you for doing that. And I want you to know I will do everything that I can do at the federal level to make certain that we protect our children and that we make certain that families and parents are making decisions for their children. We have to make certain that we end these practices and make certain that we protect the next generation of American citizens and keep them from being the target of the liberal left. They cannot use our children for profit and for political gain. We in Tennessee will not stand for that. Last month, I sent a letter over to the FDA and the CDC and calling for an investigation of these puberty blockers and to see what is happening with using these off-label drugs on children. And we know from the experts that there have not been the clinical trials to look at the long-term effects for this. And as you would expect, I am yet to get an answer from the Biden administration on this issue. But we're going to keep working, and we're going to start here in Tennessee. We are going to carry this movement to take care of our children, to end this child mutilation. We're going to take it to every state in the country. Look, you all are happy warrior freedom fighters, and you are not going to let the left get their way with our children. So I want you to get busy today, and let's make certain that we get out and that we vote in on November 8th. We fire Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer. Let's make certain that here in Tennessee, we re-elect Jack and William and the other state reps and state senators who are standing here with you, making certain that we are going to take action here in Tennessee. So stand with me. Let's keep fighting. Let's make certain that we protect these children. Let's make certain that on November 8th, everybody is out to vote. Let's take this as our goal. We win in Tennessee, and we take our movement to other states. Thank you all.
Hey. Now, I was only supposed to speak once today, but the trolls in the audience gave me such a warm reception, I thought I'd come out again. Now, because you see, that's the way it works. If you try to shut me up or drown me out, I just keep talking. That's the way this goes. And that's true of everybody here, right? The more they try to drown us out, the louder we're going to be. I want to just make, as we wrap things up, I just want to make one point. I'm actually very glad that these people have decided to come and be a part of this event. Because for one thing, maybe they've been exposed to a little bit of truth. They don't get a lot of that. So maybe they've heard some truth tonight. But also, we see the contrast. We see the contrast between people who care about children, who care about families, and those who just try to drown us out and who cannot engage in a conversation. We see the contrast there, which is very important. But here's the other thing. The reason they're acting this way is because they are losing, and they know it. They're losing. You guys are losing. Because we're going to pass this bill, and it's going to be illegal in this state. That's going to happen, no matter what they say. And they will continue to lose as long as we continue to fight all across the country. So when you go home, I want you to call your congressional representatives. I want you to go online. I want you to speak to everybody you know. Walk in the truth. Speak the truth to everyone. As long as we do that, then we win. Remember, the thing to bring home is that this is, as I said to start, this is really and truly a battle of good versus evil. This is black and white. It is very clear who stands on the side of truth, and that is us. So let's keep the fight up, everybody. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Thank you. Thank you.